Tonight, 350 tonnes of Spencer Gulf king prawns make their way to South Australian shores, ready for Christmas feasts across the country. And Port Augusta Council expresses its disappointment over the state government's plan to fix Bird Lake.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. The centrepiece of millions of Christmas lunches across the country has arrived in Port Lincoln, with trawler boats offloading 350 tonnes of prawns. But buyers may have to shell out more for the seafood treat this festive season due to shortages on the east coast.
Wrapping up the most sought-after Christmas treat this year.
We're hoping all these prawns make us for celebrating for the Christmas.
With just under a month before the big day, these packages are topping the wish list of many Australians. Today, nearly 400 tonnes of Spencer Gulf king prawns arrived to be offloaded in Port Lincoln just in time for the festive season.
This trip was a bit longer. We wanted to make sure we get the bulk of our catch ready for the Christmas market.
The catch won't be here long. Cooked, snap frozen and packaged on board, the popular seafood treat will now make its way into menus across Australia.
A lot of the markets in Adelaide, but then also Sydney, Melbourne and the regional areas around the country.
This year, Christmas shoppers will be forced to pay more at the checkout for the succulent seafood. The price of prawns is set to skyrocket on the east coast, but local retailers say they're not buying into the fishmonger prices.
The east coast reports have been up to 50% more expensive. I don't think we're going to be affected as much here at all.
But the question is, how much will you pay for a kilo at the Christmas table?
20 to 30 for the smaller ones, and 30 to 40 you should expect to pay for your medium, large ones. Anything larger than that is going to be a bit more.
And if you're worried about going without, prawn boats will trek out once more before Santa arrives.
I'll do another short little 3-night trip before Christmas.
You won't miss out on prawns.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Whyalla Council has revealed Christmas next year as the opening date for the city's new jetty. But its current focus is on finalising the design, with just over 2 weeks left for contractors to submit their plans.
Whyalla's jetty has been lying dormant for the better part of 8 months as its future is worked out. Funding has now been secured, but attention is now turned to the construction phase, which will begin next year.
We're driving this to get delivery as quick as we can. In my mind, I would love to see people being able to access the new jetty for Christmas next year.
But before December 2018, December 15, 2017 is the next significant date for the project. That's when final quotes from companies keen on taking part in the rebuild are due.
And that will now enable Council to understand the exact quantum of the funding required, and then enable us to choose the final design.
Local contractors are encouraged to submit plans, with Council keen to ensure locals share in the available work.
Looking at the skills and experience we have in our community, I believe we have everything that's required here to complete the role.
But with little time left, businesses are urged to act fast.
It ensures the investment that the state and council are making in this project stays in our community and the funds get reinvested over again.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
The latest report into lead levels in the blood of Port Pirie children has shown an upward trend. While SA Health is concerned, it's also expecting a drop in the next 12 months thanks to the redevelopment of the smelter, as Rachel Nell explains.
It's a concerning statistic.
The increase has been 0.4 microgram per decilitre, so it's a small number, but we don't like increases.
It's an indication that the amount of lead in the air is trending up as the years go by, as more and more children record an extremely high blood lead level.
And there's been an increase in the number of children who have gone above 5 and 10 microgram per decilitre.
SA Health believes a number of factors contribute to an increase, most notably the weather.
The year's been dry and it's been quite dusty, so all of that contributes to our exposure to children.
It's hoped Nyrstar's $660 million transformation will reduce the amount of lead emitted across Port Pirie. But blood lead levels in children won't drop immediately. It's predicted it'll take a couple of months to see any improvement.
It could take 6 to 12 months at least for lead levels to start falling.
Residents are reminded to still take the necessary precautions to reduce lead exposure.
Clean without making lots of dust. We teach our children how to wash their hands and dry them, and our children are experts at washing and drying their hands in Port Pirie.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
A fundraising group that has long supported residents at Port Augusta's Nerilda Nursing Home will now take its support even further. It's voted to also fund the nearby Ramsey Village, a residential aged care home, much to the delight of residents and caregivers.
The Nerilda Auxiliary has a 30-year history in Port Augusta as a fundraising group for nursing home residents, or in their words, the community.
You know, for people to be engaged and have something to look forward to and be involved in actively is a really positive thing for residents' wellbeing.
After aged care company Edenfield Family Care purchased both Nerilda and the Ramsey Village from the Port Augusta Council in July, the auxiliary then proposed to fund both.
The Nerilda Auxiliary has just supported fundraising and purchases for Nerilda residents, and earlier this year a discussion was had in the committee to look at whether we could incorporate the residents here at Ramsey as well.
It went to a vote at the group's recent committee meeting, the auxiliary deciding to not only fund both aged care homes but to change its name, now going by the Nerilda Ramsey Auxiliary.
What it's meant for Nerilda and what I see it meaning for the residents here at Ramsey is there'll be opportunity to make purchases or have visits from acts and different things to enhance residents' wellbeing.
Whether it's equipment, craft or entertainment, the President says the group looks forward to bringing smiles to Ramsey Village residents' faces.
In the last couple of years at Nerilda, we've had a petting zoo, we've had a magician, we've had karaoke. They do a range of crafts and things that are all purchased by the auxiliary. So I see that transferring now as an opportunity for residents here at Ramsey to also be able to have some of those things as well.
Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
Stay with us. Still to come tonight, Port Augusta Council expresses its disappointment with the funding arrangement over fixing Bird Lake. Details next. The Port Augusta Council has voted to express disappointment with the state government on its Bird Lake funding commitment. Council says it shouldn't have to fund part of what it's calling the world's largest environmental remediation project.
It's an ongoing saga over smell after the state government offered the Port Augusta Council the choice of taking a $3.2 million loan or paying for half the total cost to fix the off-putting Bird Lake. Council says no deal.
A project of this nature, the world's largest known environmental remediation of this sort and the first of its sort, and it's left up to the local council to try and be the lead around the remediation of a major part of the project. It's almost ludicrous in today's world.
Council also raised concern that Flinders Power and the Department of Transport and Infrastructure own sections of the problematic land.
The council can't just make a decision on the whole of the remediation of Bird Lake without consulting all of the relevant owners, and that's what we've indicated to the state government.
Already with an operating deficit, he says council and residents shouldn't have to have a multi-million-dollar loan on their backs.
I want to get back to what local government should be doing, which is roads, rates and rubbish, not looking after one of the world's largest environmental remediation projects.
Last night, Council resolved to write to the federal government to seek the funds for the remaining $1.6 million. It also plans to express its disappointment with how long it took for the state government to make an offer, with the warmer weather already drying up the lake.
The state government, I would like to think they could actually pick up the phone and ask themselves and actually work together. We feel like Piggy in the middle of this whole scenario.
Council hopeful state and federal funding will get rid of the smell.
We need the two bigger boys in the sandpit to actually start playing together.
Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
A number of Port Augusta projects have been awarded some much-needed money under the state government's Fund My Neighbourhood scheme. Out of 7 proposals for community projects, 3 made the cut, including a kitchen upgrade at the West Augusta Cricket Club. With most equipment stored in volunteers' homes, the Port Augusta Soccer Club received a $13,000 cheque to store equipment at Central Oval, and the Aridlands Botanic Garden will use a $41,000 grant to construct an all-weather picnic shelter for its 100,000 visitors every year. Well, as the festive season rapidly approaches, police are preparing to crack down on motorists openly flouting road rules. Officers will be targeting the Fatal Five in response to a slight increase in serious crashes during the summer months.
The Christmas period is one of the busiest times on our roads, so local York and Mid-North Police will be tackling the traffic with a strong and visible presence on all major roads.
We'd just like to remind drivers, especially those that may be travelling on country roads and heading away for the holidays, to obey road rules and drive responsibly on our roads.
There are 5 common contributing factors to fatal and serious crashes: drink and drug driving, speed, seatbelts, fatigue and dangerous driving. Police already detecting a large number of drivers behind the wheel with drugs in their system.
One of the key factors for the York Mid-North LSA is drug driving detections, which is actually 25% for our local service area.
Speeding just 5 kilometres over the limit decreases reaction time, closing the gap between vehicles, possibly resulting in a serious crash.
People receiving injury as a result of a collision were actually up by 5% compared to this time last year.
Motorists making long journeys for the holiday season are reminded to stop and take a break every 2 hours.
Fatigue and inattention are major contributing factors to road trauma during our holiday periods, with a large number of people travelling long distances on rural roads.
Police say there'll no longer be any leniency. Anyone caught breaking the road rules this holiday period will receive a hefty fine or loss of licence.
Police will be watching for unsafe driving behaviour and urge all road users to take care. And just remember that it's better to arrive a little bit late than not at all.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
After the break, the Whyalla Art Gallery marks the beginning of its busiest season with the spring exhibition up and running. Details next. The Whyalla Art Gallery's spring exhibition is officially now on display, with over 25 paintings entered in this year's event. Organisers say the dominant theme in entered pieces is the changing of the seasons, with bright colours common across all pieces.
Spring is upon us and summer's just around the corner, so locals are enjoying warmer and brighter weather across the country. It also marks the beginning of the Whyalla Art Gallery's busiest season, with its annual spring exhibition up and running for another year.
It's really exciting because it's a whole new range of paintings that the art group has put together for the public to come and see.
Entrants have explored the season with lively and upbeat colours dominant across most of the pieces. Spring is a big inspiration for artists across the region, with the blossoming of flowers and the longer days having a great impact on their work.
Allows the artist to actually look at a new light that comes through. With the changing of the season, there's a slight different change to the light that we get, so that makes it a really exciting time.
Works featuring local landmarks have also been popular this year, something the art group is excited about. Local experts say our region is full of bright and interesting features that inspire artists to create their next major piece.
The beautiful dusty red colour along with the blue, and it just creates a wonderful opportunity to create local paintings.
The paintings are on display daily for the next fortnight. John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Turning to sport now, and in Port Lincoln basketball, the Peckers continue their undefeated form. Jason Kemp joins us with the sport highlights. Jace, the competition is beginning to narrow on the court.
Yeah, that's right, Fraser. It was a Pecker thriller here in Port Lincoln. Both Pecker green and yellow facing off for the first time. The game ending in a nail-biter. Pecker Green started strongly, hitting points on the board early, but it was Yellow's Cameron Carbine who began to swing momentum. The back and forth match displaying some silky skills, but it was Yellow's long-range three-pointers that got them over the line. In the other match, the Blues narrowly overcame Lincoln South Blue by 2 points, and Ranger Whites had a demolition against Lincoln South Yellow. In Port Pirie, the Tomcats had a 5-point win over the Globetrotters, while the Darks went down to the Pacers. Meanwhile, in Whyalla, the Wildcats defeated the Demons, and in a buzzer beater, Rupina edged out Bevan by a single point. Turning to Broken Hill, the Suns went down to the Freeballers, while the Ramjets rocketed a 27-point win over the Rels, and Harley's team had a tough day on court going down to Something Boys. Lastly, in Port Augusta, the Cobras and Titans recorded close wins for the town. Switching over to softball in Whyalla, the Eagles had a dominant win over the Spears, while the second game couldn't be decided after 9 innings, both teams finishing with 6 runs, seeing a draw between the Tigers and Indians. And lastly, in baseball, the Tigers hit a home run against the Roadrunners. Well, that's it for another week of sport, but we'll be back on Friday with our cricket tippers from around the regions. And if you've got local sporting results you want seen on TV, make sure you drop us a line at localsport@sca.com.au.
Thank you, Jace. Jason Kemp in Port Lincoln there. Well, stay with us. After the break, we'll have all the local weather details with Abby Donaldson. And Abby, after a beautiful day, we're in for a cool change.
Yes, that's right, Fraser. Some unsettled weather is on the way. I'll have all the details next. Welcome back. Taking a look at the weather now. Some gorgeous weather today as temperatures climbed into the mid-30s for most centres. It was a sunny day and 35 for Port Augusta and Whyalla. Slightly cooler in Port Lincoln today with 27 the top. It hit 35 degrees in Broken Hill and slightly warmer for Port Pirie, 36 the top there. To the satellite now, and cloud in the north with a trough is generating showers and a few thunderstorms, which we'll see tomorrow in most centres. On the Gulf waters now, east to northeasterly winds between 10 and 15 knots, seas at a metre, and the sun will pop up just after 6 with sunset just after 10 past 8. There's a chance of showers and storms around all centres tomorrow, and those storms will pack a punch in some areas, with thunder predicted for Port Lincoln and Coffin Bay. Despite widespread showers, temps will remain warm and humid. The mercury will rise to a hot 38 degrees for Port Augusta and Corn. Showers and slightly cooler for Whyalla, heading for a top of 36 degrees, and the same for Port Pirie. Looking ahead, and a cool change will hit the region later in the week, and it means we'll see those temps dropping down to the high teens, mid-20s by Friday for Port Lincoln, Cleve and Woodner. And we'll also see showers and rain for the first day of summer, but it should clear by Saturday. Temps will remain cool, however, just 18 the top in Cleve for Saturday. A similar story further up the Gulf, with that change to bring the temps right down into the low 20s by the end of the working week, and that wet weather is expected to stay around for the first few days of summer. Rain and just 22 the top on Friday in Whyalla, and even cooler for Saturday. A similar story for Port Augusta, and while it will reach 23 on Friday and 22 on Saturday in Kadina. Finally, we'll see more of those humid and warm conditions tomorrow and Thursday, despite a fair bit of rain. However, that cool change will see temps drop to the low 20s in Port Pirie for Friday and Saturday. Even cooler for Clare, just 19 the top, and it will stay warm in Broken Hill before temps dip to 23 degrees for Saturday. So, Fraser, it's looking like a cool and wet start to summer.
It certainly is. Thanks, Abby. And that's all from the newsroom for now. Thanks for joining us. I'll have some updates later. But until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.